everybody. It's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again, and I apologize. I don't know what it is, but I just don't know what I watched. I spent 2 hours watching this movie. And it was just so pointless and meaningless. The movies that I have reviewed so far this year, they really suck. Every movie that I've chosen to watch has been terrible. And this movie, this movie is called Square Dance. It is my first Winona Ryder movie of 2024, and I was really excited to watch this movie. I was excited to watch this movie. The joke is on me. Because this movie is really bad. It is called Square Dance, and I was really looking forward to this movie based on the plot. It kind of sounded like an interesting, drama, coming-of-age type movie, and, I really thought that it sounded like it could have been a great movie, but then I started to watch it, and I was like, what the hell is this? It basically started off bad, and then it maintained its badness, and then it got a little bit gooder and badder at the same time, and then it got badder again, and finally it ended in a very mediocre way, I guess. So I think mediocre is bad, so this movie is something. Okay, so it's all about this girl, and she lives with her grandfather on this farm. You got Jason Robards and Winona Ryder, and I will say, they made a great duo. And if you had had a good script, this could have been really, really good. But one of the things that's immediately, let's just say, distracting is Winona Ryder's accent. The whole movie, she talks like this. And she's trying to be a Texas girl, and it doesn't work at all because it's just not natural for her. And I don't know if she ever played a Texas girl again. I don't know if she ever played a Texas girl again, if anyone else knows, and please tell me, because I really didn't think she was good with that accent. It was a very strange accent that she put on, because there were a lot of times in the movie where, she didn't really have any accent, and then there were other times where it was really, really loud and obnoxious and kind of distracting, and so that already took me out of the movie. And another thing that took me out of the movie was that nothing really happened. It's just her living on a farm and with Jason Robards. This just seems like a movie that doesn't exist. Or it seems like a movie where, I haven't seen Family Guy. I kind of would like to a little bit, but I do remember in South Park in that one episode where they talked about the Family Guy's comedy, and it would just be the characters being oh, this reminds me of that one time that I did this with that, or this movie seems like you could make a really good Family Guy joke where the main guy, he could be oh yeah, This reminds me of that one time that I was with Winona Ryder and Jason Robards on the set of Square Dance, that obscure 1980s movie that bombed at the box office. Like, that's what you could do with this movie, because it's just so, like, weird. Because it just, there's nothing about this movie that feels like it has any semblance of a story that I care about. It is basically like the Don't Make Waves of Winona Ryder, if that makes any sense. But it's actually better than Don't Make Waves, because it feels more complete, and it feels like it does make a little bit more sense, I mean, in Don't Make Waves, that thing didn't really make any sense. I mean, it just went from thing to thing to thing, and, So then he teaches her how to square dance, and that is very important to the movie, obviously, because the movie's called Square Dance. So, since the movie's called Square Dance, that's a very important thing. And that, look, they're square dancing. This is very important to the plot. We're going to learn a lot of symbolism and metaphors and similes here, and stuff like that, because that's a part of the story. The story is basically just hugely symbolic for Winona Ryder performing in the square dance called life. And yes, that is the premise of the movie, is that her mom comes to the farm and she offers her to come live with her. And at first Winona rejects, because, you have the hero's journey, which I hate to use I hate to use that term in reference to this movie, because it's just so crap. But I mean, it's the hero's journey, where the hero has to reject the call. First they get the call to action, and then they reject that call. And she rejects it at first, but then some stuff happens I didn't really understand, because I wasn't really paying attention. I was just zoning out, because I was so, not interested in what was going on. I could barely tell, what was going on regardless, between Winona Ryder's I'm trying to talk like a Texas girl. And then also with, Jason Robards, and he's like, I'm Jason Robards. I'm angry about everything. You get over here, Winona, I'm gonna whip your ass. That's what he's like this whole movie. Well, actually, he's not in the whole movie. He's only in, 30 minutes of it. But I guess, he's racist. That's a part of the plot. I mean, they had that at the beginning. I didn't really understand, if he was racist or not. Because, she was a big Bible thumper. Her character, she's a Texas Bible thumper. Which I'm probably talking too loud, because I'm doing this review late at night, because I want to get it over with. Because, it's just, it's one of those movies. It's one of those movies. You guys know what I mean? The review might be fun to do, but the movie was not fun to watch. Let me tell you. But she, wants to play cards with this black guy every Sunday, and his dad says, her grandfather says it's not a good idea, because in life you have to take the good people that you can get, or something. He said it in a really weird way. Sorry. I guess it was implying that he was racist, though. I didn't understand, why is he racist? Because then they talked about how he was friends with the same black guy as a kid. So how does it make sense that he was really good friends with this guy? I thought that they were going to have some drama with that. Where maybe the black guy, slept with a girlfriend of his or something, and they had a falling out. I don't know, it was just so random. Oh, he's racist. He's obviously racist, and it's who cares? What's the plot of this movie? Oh, well, then Winona Ryder suddenly decides to leave home to go live with her mama. And sorry, guys, I just had acid reflux, and it came up into my mouth, and then I choked on it. It was basically the experience of watching this movie. Ugh. Sorry, everyone. I guess this is what you call the square dance experience. Well, that's never happened before. So anyways, she goes to live with her mom, and you think like, ooh, is this going to be kind of like a Midnight Cowboy type of movie with Winona Ryder, where she goes to the city and then she struggles and it's really tough, and she has to do dirty things like steal and, play tricks on people. Not like, being a hooker, but like, because she is a teenager, but like, playing tricks like, being a con man or something. Like, what's she gonna do? Oh no! You know what happens for the rest of the movie? Nothing. She lives with her mom. Her mom is a hairstylist. Her stepfather is a guy, obviously. And she, nothing happens, though. Like, nothing. There's nothing of substance that happens except for there's this stupid plot where she meets Rob Lowe. And he's really attractive looking, but he is mentally disabled, which I didn't even realize that until 3/4 of the way through the movie. Because they didn't really say that at first. I really didn't understand that at first. It really just seemed like it was Rob Lowe doing a really cringeworthy Simple Jack impression. Like, the way that he acted in this movie was really, really funny. Like, he is a great actor. Like, I think he's underrated in terms of his acting. But his performance in this movie, it was laughably bad. He talked like this. Oh, hey, Winona. You want to go to the movies with me? He's like trying to do like his own Forrest Gump, and it just comes off like Forrest trash. And so like there's that, and so that really doesn't work. And then also for some reason they had to make him like in his 20s. So he is like preying on Winona because, she's 13 and he's like in his late 20s or something. So, and they just write that off, too. Like, the mom, she's talking with this other woman, and the other woman complains about their age difference, and the mom says, "Don't get all moral on me now." And it's like, what the hell? Like, just because, like, and just because he's, like, mentally disabled means that he wouldn't realize that, like, she's too young for him, and that, like, he should, get to know her better and just be friends with her and wait until she's 18 or something, or, hook up with someone his own age. Like, it's like there's nothing. It's like this character, why couldn't they have just made him a teenager like her? Like, why did they have to make him, like, in his 20s and then make that a part of the plot? Because it really didn't fit at all with the movie. Because when I think of, like, stuff like that, I think of, like, what's called, quote-unquote, forbidden romance movies. Lolita, Licorice Pizza, the Lolita Obsession, whatever movie with the guy who dated Elizabeth Taylor, and then the Tatum O'Neal, like, movies like that. But that wasn't the plot of this movie. The plot of this movie was that Winona Ryder goes to live with her mom, quote-unquote, in the city. Which, by the way, another thing that I hated about the movie was the fact that I really felt like I was falsely advertised, because I was sold a movie where she goes to live in the city, and it would be a really big contrast with her hometown, which is like the middle of nowhere. But instead, she goes from her small town, she goes from the middle of nowhere to living in a small town. And I thought, that's not really like a huge step up. Like, it's not really that interesting of a plot. It would have been so much more interesting if she was in the city, or maybe she starts off in the small town and then she goes to the city by herself, which would have been really scary as shit, because I wouldn't want anything to happen to my poor Winona. That's for sure. So then Winona gets her time of the month just randomly. And, usually in these movies and things, when you have a plot, you resolve it, something happens, she gets tampons, she gets pads, a female figure, hopefully, tells her how to use them and helps her out with that. But in this movie, instead, she stumbles around on the couch and kind of rubs her bottom on the couch for some reason, like she's trying to she's trying to blend the period blood in with the colors of the couch or something really weird. And then she puts her hands down her pants, and it's just like, what the hell is going on here? This is like she has some sort of a brain issue, because it's like, why would anyone do this? Like, why? Like, why? And then she goes to see her mom about this, and her mom is at the bar the saloon with the stepdad, and so she doesn't really feel comfortable talking about that, and she never brings it up, and then we never see any resolution to that issue. Like, we never see her finally talk to her mom, and her mom says, "Oh my God, you got your period finally. Oh my God, this is such a huge step in your life. Oh my God. Oh yeah, here's how to use tampons. Here you go." We never get that at all. And it's like, that's just a sign of bad quality right there. Like, because you introduce a plot like that, you resolve it. Okay, you did that, you end it. You don't just do it and then have a couple of scenes that deal with it and then just move on. That's what this whole movie is. It's just like they do stuff and then they move on. They do stuff and then they move on. They don't really do stuff with a purpose of like ending it and making it into a story with character arcs and things. Another thing is we do get to see Winona Ryder in a bubble bath, but she is obviously a teenager, and so the scene is trash. And so I really wish that she would have a bubble bath scene in one of her later movies, because like, to me, like, the fact that this movie has her in a bubble bath, like, if I was a kid, I would have loved this movie for sure, because I really liked her as a kid. But like, the fact that this movie has that and it's still a piece of shit, that just shows that this movie's for the trash can. There's another sequence where Winona is making an applesauce cake for dinner, and Rob Lowe's talking to her, and she's like, "Okay, you go leave for work, honey." And he leaves, and then he comes back later, and somehow she's still doing the same exact things that she was doing earlier in the day. And I'm not kidding here. Like, she had this bowl out, and she had the eggs, and she's cracking them and, pretending to mix stuff. And she was literally doing that hours later, as if she had never finished doing that earlier in the day. Like, I guess that just the people making the movie were so lazy that they couldn't handle, like, having her do a different task in regards to this meal, because she had to make pork chops, beans, mashed potatoes, and this applesauce cake. They couldn't figure out how to have her do one of those things. And so I just thought that was stupid too. I mean, that was very noticeable. And the movie is symbolic for square dancing, because it's just like square dancing, where you do this square dancing and you go and you come back, And, this movie's all about her going and leaving home and then coming back, like a square dance, which is stupid as shit. It's like, yeah, that's kind of cool, I guess, as a concept. But then when you get to the actual story, I should hope that, like, there's more of a story than just a girl goes from place to place and then back. And then also, Winona in this movie, she's a really big Bible thumper. And she hears her parents arguing and fighting, and she busts in on them, and she hits the stepdad with the Bible, and then she starts, like, preaching to them for, like, 10 minutes, and she's like, "Thou shalt not do this, and thou shalt not do that in God's house." And that was also cringeworthy. I mean, this is one of those movies where it is, like, bad in a legendary type of way, where you could really, really tear this movie apart and have fun with it, because there's just nothing to it. If there was something there of substance, then I could see myself being really emotionally invested into the movie and really into the movie, but there's nothing to it. It's just like, here you go, here's the movie, hardly anything happens. And then they have a fight, Winona Ryder and her mom, and this is one of the only funny parts of the movie, too. I mean, it was very hilarious. Winona's mom admits she was a whore, and she doesn't even know who Winona's real dad is, because basically we find out that Winona is the product of a cum dumpster. I mean, I'm just saying, like, that is exactly what she was. Like, she's like, I went from guy to guy and I couldn't really tell which one gave you to me. And it's like, they really just did make Winona Ryder the product of a cum dumpster. So that was pretty funny. And then the big thing that happens is that Winona catches Simple Jack Jr. banging another girl, and Winona beats this girl with the Bible so hard that she passes out, and she actually has a concussion. And then she starts preaching to Simple Jack Jr. And then after she leaves, Simple Jack Jr. feels guilty, and he takes a pair of scissors and tries to cut off his wee-wee. And then, and so then Winona Ryder's mom is like, okay, I gotta take you home because we don't want that girl to identify you when she wakes up. So then she takes her home, and the last thing, like, of note to this movie is that she blows a thumb kiss to her daughter. And is it just me? I had never heard of, like, a thumb kiss before, except for in Welcome to the Basement, which is a show that I like sometimes. Because I don't watch it as often as I should, probably. Especially not anymore. But in that show, they watched a movie called Megaforce, and it was a very popular running joke in their show, that, like, there was the part in the movie where the guy does the thumb kiss, and so then they would do the thumb kiss all the time. And in fact, there was someone who went to a convention and got the actor from the movie to do it, and, I had never heard of that before or seen anyone do that, and I just find it really odd. Like, it is really, really odd, right? Like, you think about, why wouldn't you just use your hand to blow someone a kiss? Why just the thumb? Like, what is so significant about the thumb? And why is it any better or worse? Like, it's just a very strange thing. It's sort of like how some people call soda pop, and then others call it soda. It's like, what's the point of calling it pop? Like, it's not pop, it's soda. That's that. But anyways, after that, the movie falls off and nothing happens. Except for, oh yeah, she square dances with Jason Robards again in the final scene, of course. And then also there was another scene in the movie where she square dances with Rob Lowe. Oh yeah, and then they mentioned that they were able to repair Rob Lowe's wee-wee, and then they are going to put Rob Lowe away in some place special, quote-unquote, forever. And they said, he always belonged there, to be honest, Winona. That was really funny, too. Like, he always should have been there. Like, so this movie, it ended, and I was just like, what was the point of this movie? Like, you could have had a really good story, you could have had a drama, a comedic drama that could have been really, really good, but instead, you just have this meaningless movie that, like, I don't think that I'll even remember this movie, except until, like, at the end of the year, or maybe when I rank Winona Ryder's films, I'll be like, oh yeah, that was that one crappy movie. But, like, other than that, like, you know, this movie's really, really forgettable, and it's sad, because, like, I was really looking forward to it. So, in terms of food, I would like to say that there is one thing, and one thing only, that I can give this movie. And that is, and see, you know, the thing that I'm doing here is that I'm using extra words because I didn't actually come up with a food review before I started this video, because usually they just come very easily to me, but, you know, once again, this time I'm, like, having trouble here, because I'm thinking, like, what could be so flavorless? Or, okay, I guess I could say tonight's food, ironically, you know, because I did the same thing last Saturday, where I gave that movie the ranking that the food that I ate, but it really is, like, perfect for the movie again, even though it wasn't bad. Like, actually, the dinner was really good. I really love having salmon patties, or just having salmon in general. You know, I'm a big fan of salmon, just like I'm a big fan of Winona. And so, I would give this movie the salmon patty dinner that I had tonight. And basically, the difference was that we used pink salmon instead of sockeye salmon. And originally, we weren't opposed to doing this, but we didn't want to, like, do it right away because it seemed like a big, like, risk to do that, and then maybe it's not any good or something. But, you know, we had regular salmon patties last week, and I thought, you know, maybe pink salmon could be better. And, you know, just like in this movie, how Winona thought maybe living with my mom could be better. And then this week, we finally tried that. We tried the pink salmon patties, and they just were not nearly as good or flavorful. They did not taste as good at all. Like, they were mid. Like, they really did not taste anywhere near as good as the sockeye salmon patties. So then, you know, after this dinner, we are going to be going back to having sockeye salmon from here on out. You know, we're not going to have that again. So that's kind of like what this movie was, in terms of, like, it was an experiment. The experiment didn't work. It was a failure. It wasn't a bad failure, but I mean, it's canned salmon. If the sockeye salmon tastes better, then we get sockeye salmon. If the pink salmon tastes better, get the pink salmon. But in this case, the pink salmon did not taste better. It was not as good at all. And so that's what this movie is like 100%. It is the pink salmon patty of the Winona Ryder movie catalog. And I gotta say, too, I looked at some of her movies coming up, and they do not look good. Like, there's a lot of movies in there that, like, I really hope that that I at least enjoy watching them or something, or maybe the reviews are enjoyable. Like, I guess this one's kind of been a good review, because, like, oh. So anyways, please like this video and comment, and tell me what you thought of this Winona Ryder movie, because I know that a lot of people did like it, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I didn't get it at all. The whole movie, I was looking for something to latch onto, but I just couldn't. There was nothing for me in this movie, especially not Winona Ryder with her, really cringeworthy fake Texas accent that she probably never uses again. I mean, I prefer Winona's, like, regular voice. Like, that voice that she has in Heathers and Beetlejuice and all those other things. Like, I prefer the Winona Ryder voice, because to me there's nothing that's like the Winona Ryder voice. That's why Winona Ryder's Winona Ryder. And in this movie, it's like she's being something different. They're doing something different, and I don't like it. I think it's trash. And, yeah. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest movie reviews. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.